Hey, Denver. Hey, Glenn. So let me see. I need to share my screen here. And then we're gonna go ready to rock and roll. Oh, wait. Musaf, can you somehow unpin yourself? Is that possible? Okay, that's good. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday, 5 p.m. CST, and we are live today with a friend of mine and a really special guest. And I'm super happy he's here, made some time on his really busy calendar for me today. It's Brandon Parker, and it will be like an hour of an really great AI technology, call calling, lead gen powerhouse that we're going to do here. And yeah, I'm super happy that he's on. We just met a couple of weeks back in San Diego, had a great time there. There will be a little announcement in the end, too, right? We will do a little announcement because there will be some things coming up. So thank you for chiming in and being here. Brandon, how are you today?
Wonderful. Good to see everyone. Happy to talk about some AI here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Brennan, for everybody that doesn't know you, tell us who you are and what you do.
So, my name is Brandon Parker, founder of Land AI, and I created uh, a call center a few years back. And after building that, realized that the bottleneck was capturing too many leads for people and actually sorting through those leads. And so, what we ended up doing was developing an AI tool to help sort through and qualify leads with a professional sales conversation. So now what we do is we do an outbound cold call. If someone's interested in possibly selling their land, we live transfer it directly to conversational AI, and it has a sales conversation with them. It's We'll qualify them on pricing, timeline, and motivation, and then we just send the qualified leads through to our clients to get on the phone and close deals.
I love that. I love that. That's so cool. But let's get a couple of steps back. Like nobody gets born to be a land AI CEO, founder, whatever. Bring us a little bit in the story of Brandon. What did Brandon to get to that point? Like, I know you have a really cool history, so share it a little bit with us if you like to. From like, I think you have been like the youngest helicopter pilot in the U.S. at one point. Was that not the case? Do I remember that right?
Oh, that's a deep track there. I didn't must have told you that when I was in San Diego with you. Yeah, I started flying helicopters when I was 16. And it was a disenchanted youth, and I ran away from home to Florida and worked at an airport and became a helicopter pilot, which is like running away to the circus, kind of. But since then, I went to school, played soccer, and then started getting into entrepreneurship and started different businesses, did some commercial real estate, did some regular house flipping, did some fix and flips, and that eventually brought me to land. And what was so intriguing to me about land was just the idea that the simplicity of it. There's some beauty in land itself, and then not having a building that you have to deal with. I remember at one point I was doing fix and flips, and we had a 2000 square foot house jacked up off the ground, and we were repairing the foundation, and we ended up making barely breaking even. We made between like 15 and 30 grand on that, and it took us 6 months. And I just remember thinking how insane it was to have an entire house jacked up in the air and to make not that much money. And so when I found land, everything kind of clicked for me, and um, opened a call center, and for a few years ran a call center, and then turned that into what we have now, which is Land AI.
That's great. That's amazing. So the transition, I mean, a lot of people get intrigued because of that, of the simplicity, right? If we need a minute here with your audio, let me know, right? But a lot of people get intrigued by that. Um, that land is just I mean, me myself, right? I'm a retired and still recovering house flipper, right? Because there is like so much stuff you need to do with, and I made exactly the same experience. Like I have the feeling every time you open a wall when you renovate a house, you find a problem, right? um so in land it was it's completely the opposite. But run us a little bit through that. Like I mean, when I started this, like direct mail was state of the art. It was that what everything was doing, everyone was doing, like 2020, 2021, something like that. Tell us a little bit, like how did the call center stuff come up? Like what did you learn? Is it better? Is it worse than direct mail? How do you see that compared to text messaging? Bring us a little bit in, like you focused on call calling. What was the reason behind that? I guess that is the question.
Um, so how the call center came up. Sorry, I'm having audio issues. I'll need to pull my headset off here for a second. Let me try something different.
You know what?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, if you're, we can make a break a minute or two, and we can just like make a little round of wins if you need to have some time to sort out yourself.
Yeah, why don't you take this on for a second and I'll
You figure it out.
talk to Lucy. Yeah.
Great. Gene, how are you today? I've seen you in the morning.
We gotta stop meeting like this. Good.
Good. That's really really amazing.
Good. The customers are delightful when they call you back through the line and start saying all these things, and then you bless them, and they don't like to be blessed.
So did
So
you
you
get
just
yelled at today?
politely
You know, yeah, let's do
wait.
that right here. Like, Gene, you know, like you're one of our autopilot customers, right? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah.
You came in this like 3 months ago or 2.5 months ago. I came to you because you're on all of my calls. You have been, I see on every other call. Walk us a little bit through the transformation you went through in the past 2.5, 3 months. Like what that meant to work in this environment where we brought you into with the land autopilot.
Oh, it's a lot of work. Prior to me starting with this, actually, I was on, I'll call it a sabbatical. I just was retired, but still hanging around, calls and stuff. And I realized that I need to get my credit cards paid off, and I need to make this big move and make $600,000 and get me back into Dickinson near a church. And I felt like, yeah, I know what to do, but I really needed something with a lot more structure. And let me tell you, Robin did that for me. And it's been I'm a work in progress. And so I think I'm improving every week, but it's really kind of nice that I don't have to worry about any markets. I don't have to um, go pull the leads or skip trace them or anything like that. They're basically delivered on the plate to me. I just need to call them. And some days I even struggle with that, but it's and I feel my old self coming back. I think I'm older, but I think I've lost something just by taking that time off. And as much as I complain to myself about, I don't want to do this, I'm getting way better and I have a better attitude. And Robert's helped me a lot with that. So, um,
Yeah, we do some pretty unconventional stuff you sometimes, right? You know what you guys don't know is Jean sends me every night like what she was grateful for,
oh,
three things, like what she achieved today. Because I told her we need to work on your mindset, right? And suddenly, like what happened? You just like locked up two contracts in the last 2 weeks, right? Like I don't know what the total profit is, but it's like medium five figures somewhere, right? And you didn't do anything for the past 2 years, and suddenly like it starts going. And I think, when I look at you, this transformation you did from, hey, I'm overwhelmed by life, to, you know what, I tackle sellers every day, no matter if they yell at me, if they are nice to me or whatever. This is like pretty amazing. This is what I need to say.
yeah. I thank you, Mario. And the one that called today, the team texted out to them, and they just had to pick up the phone looking for them. They got me. They didn't care it was me. I said, I'm the owner. And he's yelling at me about how I'm taking advantage of seniors. And I said, well, I'm a senior. Well, you need to be working in Walmart. Get a job. and, and saying the F word like over. I said, excuse me? I said, please don't say that. Well, you're not going to tell me what to do. I said, well, have a blessed day or bless you. I don't go to church. I don't believe in this. And finally, I just said, well, you have a very blessed day. I mean, I said blessed to him about probably at least 10 times because that's an evil coming out. And then I finally hung up because it's time.
And you're
But
doing
that
so
was
great. Like in the beginning, I remember that. And thank you for chiming in here for Brandon. Brandon, are we good now on audio?
I'm all good. I'm ready.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Brandon like this story.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dean,
good
for
stuff,
being the
Gene.
new Brandon on the show, right? Like
Yeah,
that's a good.
big time.
Look, Brandon, your twin brother Mario just
Oh,
came on.
he's my better looking half. That's fantastic.
That's great.
Awesome.
Okay,
He must
Brandon,
be
are we
rich and
ready?
successful.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, Brandon, let's go back. We were there, like call center, right? Like we wanted to start a little bit off there, right? Like everybody was doing direct mail until 2020 is what I feel, and then like all this alternative things come up. Like bring us a little bit into that. Like how did you get involved? Like I mean, did you randomly just get up in the morning and said like, you know what, I'm going to open up a call center, right? Like I guess that's not that what happened, but bring us a little bit into that.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I had a mentor. He's on Twitter. His name's John Matzner, and I was paying him for coaching. And I had just found land, was interested in doing that, and then he introduced me to, at the same time, another person on Twitter, Cole Rude Johnson, and Cole was running courses on how to build a call center. So I married those two ideas together and started a call center for my own land business. And there was only one other call center at that point. It was the land caller who started in that same program to build a call center 2 months before us. And so we followed him through that system, and we became the first two call centers specifically for land, and started cold calling at that point. And yeah, that's when cold calling and land started. And it was all because of Cole, a Twitter guy who taught people how to build call centers.
Thank you, Call, right? Like, so, I mean, there's a lot of people, and it's always this thing like, do I want to build it in-house, right? Like, I mean, we have these discussions all day, like, hey, yeah, I'm just going to hire a VA and I'm going to run my own call center, do my own text messaging, do my own this, do my own this. What does it take to build a call center? Like, what do we need to do, like, to really be on top of that? What are the things people don't see, all the blind spots people don't see when it comes in terms of like a call center?
Yeah. So what it takes, and people can build a call center there on their own. And at this point, what I actually recommend is bringing cold callers in-house. Like instead of going to an actual call center, there's enough tools. And if we're managing correctly, we can do call centers with people remote. So first part of it's a good interview process. Finding people in Belize, you can do that on Facebook or Belize job boards. Egypt, the same thing. Facebook is a good place for that. Onlinejobs.ph is another good spot. Hiring, a good filtering process. You'll probably get hundreds of applicants, and the way to filter through them is have them send a Loom video of their workspace and talking on their headset, so you can make sure they're clear. And if they show you video evidence of their like a dedicated workspace, those two I found to be kind of the quickest and dirtiest ways to sort through about 90% of people. That'll turn your 100 people down to 10. And then just get them on the phone, have a conversation with them, have them read a script live and role play with them and just see how they are. Hire. And then when we hire, if I was giving advice to someone, I'd say hire 2 people if you need one, and then run both those people at the same time, side by side for a week or 2. And then one's going to play out as much better than the other, and then keep that one. And that's the quick way to get from 100 applications down to one solid caller. and then just repeat that for as many callers as you want. The most effective thing you can do is manage a cold caller with output-based management. And so what that looks like is just end of day reports. How many calls did you make? How many connections? How many qualified leads did you end up getting? And a good cold caller should be getting 3 to 5 qualified leads per day. They send you an end of day report. It's just, here's the day, 12/11. I made this many calls and they got this many leads, and then they just drop that in a Slack channel, so you can always go back and reference what their baseline is. And then all you have to do for QA is to listen to the leads that they send you, those 3 to 5 leads, and go through those with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that they are actually qualified leads, and listen to how those scripts sound. So the hidden work in running a good cold calling operation is the details within the management and within the quality analysis and with checking in on their script. What most people do is just hire someone and then just get a ton of leads and don't do much of the quality analytics and much of the management part. And that's kind of the art to cold calling, especially once you get more than 1 or 2 callers. That becomes more of a hefty lift as far as running a good cold calling operation.
Okay,
Does that answer your question? How to do it?
For all the listeners outside, you know how to build a call center. You're off to the races. Thank you, Cole, right, for bringing that to Brendan. He just ran it down in 2 minutes. I mean, there's a lot of more of the quirks, but what I like really much is, and I find that super useful, especially when you deal with people like overseas and that work at home. Like, they have different structures than here, right? They live with whole family in spaces, and when they have a position where they need to be on the phone, and their computer is sitting in the middle of the kitchen table, right, or their breakfast nook, and everybody's playing around, and there's like most of the time 3-4 generations in the house, and then suddenly the kids come home and you hear like any kind of chickens like chickening around, and cats and dogs, and when you're a cold caller, this is what you don't really want to do. So thank you. I wrote that down. Like, get a picture of the dedicated workspace, right? Where it is, and that's really good. Let's talk a little bit about management, because I think you hit something there really, really well, and that is like the fact. I always have the feeling, and I talked about it yesterday in a live. A lot of people that start land investing treat this like a hobby, right? And what they think is that what I see from the outside oftentimes is that people come in here and just think, I'm gonna found an LLC, send 500 letters, hire a VA in the Philippines, and he will run the business for me. What does management mean like for you, right? Because this is like a really entrepreneurial skill that you need to learn. What makes a good manager in a land investing company, and especially when you do cold calls, you need a couple of those to make your numbers, right? Like, how do you organize that for yourself, or when you started out? Maybe let's get a little bit into that. What does a good manager look like?
Yeah, if I was starting, a lot of it comes down to documenting processes, and I have a real clean system as how to do that. But that's the key that underlies everything, and it takes a tedious, slow build up. But as you do it, you build momentum, and it starts to feel like a real business. So the tactic there is, for any task that you're hiring, first look at where the majority of your time is going, and like the easiest things to offload. You can do that with time tracking apps. There's one called Rise that I still use to this day. And I go back and I can look monthly at the different areas of my business where I spent time, and I can identify bottlenecks in my personal time. So for example, right now, this last quarter, I saw that my main drain of my personal time was managing client relations. And so that was my next hire. I hired a client success manager who took that big chunk off my plate, which freed me up to go head after the next bottleneck. So same thing applies to every level of business. The first hire is just, for a land business, is going to be someone to maybe like a lead manager, maybe a dispo person, maybe just a general VA who can take tasks off your plate. And then how to document those processes is I do the actual process and I take a Loom recording of it and I walk through it. Then I take the transcript from that recording, I put it in ChatGPT. I make a step-by-step guide, checklist, and Notion of exactly how to do it. Then I put the purpose, why we do this, any extra info they need, and any links that they're going to need to get that job done. Then there's the task list. Then there's the Loom video. Then I pass that to my person and I watch them do that task. They go through the task. And as they go through the task, if they have a question, like, what do I do at this step? Then I'll go look at that. I'll tell them, I'll rewrite it, and then I'll have them keep going through. So we'll adjust it so it makes more sense. So it's pretty quick and easy. But then after that task is done, now that goes into a documentation area where we can find it again. And that task is off my plate. I should never have to actually do that again at my company because that person knows how to do it. And if they leave, the next person who replaces them, there's a document for it. So then that's how you document, and then training the team on my processes. Like, and what I tell people when they come in, number one is part of your job is to document your job. So if you're doing a task more than 2 or 3 times, we need an SOP for it. And the other thing is, before you come and ask me a question about how to do something, the first question I'm going to ask you is there an SOP for it? And if there's not, we're going to make one. And so, and I tell people, if you come to me a couple of times in a row asking for questions and there is an SOP for it, then, we don't want to be doing that. So that's how I would handle building, hiring the first people, and documenting.
That's so detailed, if that makes sense, right? Like, and I guess a lot of people don't really see that, because when you hire somebody in the first place, it is work before it takes work off your shoulders, right? This is like literally what you're saying, like, especially when you're new in this business and when you're onboarding something, hey, there's labor out there that you can hire for $5-6 an hour, but a majority of these people, right, they will deliver you what you get for $5-6 an hour, and they will never meet the expectation that I see a bunch of times out there. Um, is that they pay $5 an hour and hire a rocket scientist that just will invent the next NASA rocket that brings you to Mars, right? And this is like not the case, right? And I think there was a lot of like good stuff in there, really, like, make that recordings, make it as clear as possible, because you do it once and then you never do it again. And you have the standard like workflows in your company that you do every day, right? And when you want to outsource it, the better you document it, the better the result will be from that person that takes over, right? I mean, by time you probably get in a position that you will be able to hire people that have more knowledge, that are better, that will make even your process better, that then create those better SOPs while they're doing that. But in the very beginning, it's really a lot about like the documentation process and like really making it pretty clear what you expect and how they're going to get there, right? Like, this is what I see a lot of times happening. People just don't have a clear communication about, hey, this is what needs to get done. So I love that purpose part of that, right? Why do we do this in the company?
Yeah. And it depends on where you're at in the process. If you haven't hired a personal assistant before, or haven't maybe run an employee in a remote business before, I think that taking the leap and hiring some global talent, like one person who you're just going to work with and teach them how to do things to help you, that's the biggest unlock 80/20 I think that anyone can do, is hire your first person and start learning how to effectively delegate tasks, because that's what separates people with effective help and people with help that makes things messier and is just mayhem. And so when you get just one personal assistant and you say, hey, I need this plane ticket. And then you have to most people would say, okay, well, I need a plane ticket. That's actually just easier for me to do myself because I suck at delegating. It's going to take me longer to delegate that than it is to just go get a plane ticket. What getting a personal assistant does is it trains that muscle where I'll delegate that all day because I can do it. I can delegate that much faster now, but that's a skill. And learning that skill is probably step one of starting to build a business and a company that has more than 2 or 3 employees. And because you need to, the way that I think about it is give them enough information where they don't need to come back and ask you questions. If I've delegated a task properly, then they come back and it's done. And so what that looks like, it's kind of 5 steps, and some of them are in that SOP, but it's what the task is, the purpose of the task, any links or logins they're going to need to get it done, and what the end state looks like. So this is what it looks like when this is all done. And then they're finishing, like how they know what to do when they finish. And that could be something like send me the plane ticket in Slack and email me a copy of the itinerary, whatever the end. So that's how you would get something like that done. And then you would also want to have that into a task board that you can both have visibility on, so you can see as they're working on it, and so you can put multiple tasks in there. And so that would be the core skill to learn to start having employees that are effective.
I like that. I like that very, very much. That's so valuable. And what I see a lot of times, and everybody's talking about you need to get better at acquisitions and sales and all that, but like a lot of people, especially when you're new in this industry, and even when you're there around for a while, what you really need to learn is how to become an entrepreneur. Because that, like, how to become a CEO, right? Like how to become somebody that is actually capable of running a business. And that what you shared today, like, was one of the really valuable parts of that. You need to learn how to delegate, right? Otherwise, it's just you can bring 100%, maybe 130, maybe 150% over a certain amount of time, but that's it, right? Like when you don't learn how to get rid of tasks, then you will never get there. I mean, we want to talk about AI today, right? And I don't want to bore everybody out, but you decided for call calling, and you run a pretty pressing like call calling operation. And actually, some of our clients are working with you, most of them. Um, how do you see that, like call calling, texting, direct mail? Like, what is that what leads to success today? What is that what's working in 2025? And why is call calling that one that you support so much?
Yeah. So running a call center, what I realized specifically to land investors is that it's not that hard to get a lot of leads for people who want to sell their land. You can do that with, pay-per-click or texting or mailing. You can blast out 10,000 mailers or 200,000 cold calls. Everything works. The issue becomes when those leads come back in, how do we effectively sort through them so that we can do it at scale and without burning out, and so that we still have time to maybe travel or something, and we can the business isn't this thing that is determined by having to sort through hundreds of leads. And so, for example, at the call center, we would have a client and we would get them, let's say, 100 leads per month. What would happen often is it would be 3 months down the road and a client would say, you know what, like this is working good. It's almost working too good. I have to catch up. I have 300 leads. I've only got through like 200 of them. And I'm going to take the next month or two off, and I'm just going to work these leads that I have. So I realized that that's the bottleneck. That's the issue, is how do we sort through so that we don't need to sort through 100 leads to find one deal. And that is where AI came in to solve that problem. And so what we do now is we cold call outbound. We live transfer to conversational AI. The conversational AI has a very high level sales conversation with them that's trained on Chris Voss tactics, the famous negotiator. And it will ask them their timeline, pricing, and motivation. And then it will sort that lead, and only the pre-qualified leads will make it through and need to get dealt with. It eliminates 80% of the tire kickers. And so the old method of cold calling, we would capture 100 leads, we would send 100 leads to our clients, and then they would sort through all of those and they would find one or two deals and they would burn out because one or two deals sorting through 100 leads sucks. With the AI setter or salesperson in between, now we capture 100 leads with a cold caller. We send those 100 leads to Maya, the conversational AI. She sorts the leads and pre-qualifies them, and only 20 or 30 make it through. And in those 20 or 30, there's one or two deals. So it's 5x the conversion rate and 5x more effective than our old method of cold calling. And the real thing there is what ends up happening is our clients, because they're having more conversations with leads that they have a lot of context on. They end up having better conversations. They become better salespeople. Their close rate increases. They just get better on the phone because most of the people they're talking to are actually ready to talk about their land. So they're not wasting 5x their time on all kinds of tire kickers, all kinds of nonsense. It's like a big bleed on how good they get on the phone. So our people are getting much better on the phone too, which is one of the hidden benefits there. So that's where I see AI coming in and just adding a crazy amount of leverage. I mean, 5 times as much leverage is the way that I look at it. People are 5 times as effective as they were when they were just using cold calling without AI.
Yeah, and I love what you said, right? Like, it gets frustrating, first of all. Then, I mean, it solves a big bottleneck. And I think one of the most relevant KPIs in 2025 and now going in 2026 is speed to lead, right? Because, I mean, like, when you see, like, ask the people, how many calls did you get? How many text messages did you get? How many? Oh, there were like 5 people in the past 10 days, right? There's something you need to be different. And like AI gives you this competitive advantage here when you have a really well-trained caller, right? And this is what you have, like yours is trained of tens of thousands of conversations. I talked actually with her, it's amazing. But like it's trained on like all these tens of thousands of conversations already. And you make a lot of quality control on the back end there. This is what I really like. But what it really gives you is like, I always see it like this, you know, like when we go in acquisitions, we need to establish these 3 things. They need to know, like, and trust you, right? And now when you have like your cold caller that asks them you want to sell, let me transfer you to somebody that can talk to you, and maybe you as the client that has done this qualified lead calls them too in the next like 10-15 minutes after that. You already had 3 interactions with that person on the phone. Right. And I train my people right now, like that are working in Land AI, on that they call within the 15 minutes after mine and say, hey, my name is Robin Seib. I'm the owner of the company. I've just seen this piece of land coming in. It looks so good to me. Like, I just wanted to talk with you real quick, like, because that really caught my attention. Like, you have a complete different conversation. Because not like, you know, like what I see a lot of happening, like when you talk to people that are in acquisition, and let's be honest, 80% of the people are not full-time, maybe 90% are not full-time. So they have a job, they have lives, they have all of this. And then you pay, I don't know, what does a call colleague cost? I don't know. Like, let's call it $30 when you break the costs down, that you spend on, maybe it's more, maybe it's $50 that you spend on data pulling, that you do this, that you do this. Every time you don't call that person, when you do it personally, not in 15 minutes, you take a $50 bill and throw it out of the window. That's the reality, right? So, and when you now like manage it to really curate this pre-qualified lead in a way that you build trust from day one through just being one thing, reliable, you already make a difference to 99% of the other peoples that are calling, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely. And that there's a thing that Hormozy talks about, which is that speed to lead. And he says that when they implemented that with their marketing, that they had a 300% increase in closed deals. And just the delta between capturing a lead and getting them on the phone is where that happens. And so we added a couple more layers into what you're saying there, Robin. It's the cold call, and then Maya, the sales conversation, and then the land investor calls. After Maya passes the call and says, okay, our team member Mario is going to give you a call after this, or our founder Mario is going to give you a call. Right after that call hangs up, Maya sends a personalized video from the land investor and their website, an email, and a text message. So they get a couple extra touches, the email and text message with a personalized video in between when they hang up with Maya and when the land investor calls them. So that is a way to quickly give an extra touch also. And that video and website that sits in their email is really powerful, because that's something, it's like a business card, or it's like a mailer, it just sits there, and maybe it doesn't happen today, but they can always go back and remember, oh yeah, that was that team that I had a good interaction with. Because as the land business has gotten more people into it, there is also more low quality interactions, or more, kind of spammy text messages, or people who call back a mailer and then the owner doesn't call them back, these missed interactions. And so there's more flakiness, which leaves a big opportunity for teams who do two things. One, they act very professional and they do what they say they're going to do, and everything's precise. People want to know that their deal is going to close. And so that feels very comforting to people. But then they also want someone who's local and down home and is a real land investor, not a giant corporation. It's not BlackRock that's calling them. And so that's the middle ground that you want to land in, is extremely professional, but also it's just, you're on a first name basis. They called, they told me, okay, this is the person you're going to talk to. That person actually called me quickly. I got an email from that person. He's even got a website, that's where you want to land. And so that's how all that makes this much more powerful.
Yeah, I see it the same. And yeah, sorry, I forgot all these layers, right? Like sometimes there's so much juice in there, but what it like really is about, I think, is like building like from the first second on this layer of trust. But I think what you guys are doing, like you build an entire universe around that, right? Like, how do you think that AI will change the land investing space? Because that what you're describing is a major change. And instead, I mean, who is guilty? We don't have too much like cameras on here, but like, hey, who is guilty of getting a phone call and having that lying around for like 10 days and saying, you know what, I call him tomorrow? Who's guilty of that, Gene? Are you guilty, Mario? Yeah, I see you. I see you. Like, right. And you solve that
Stop it.
You solve that automatically, right? Like, how do you think that AI will change the game?
I think that we're already seeing how it's changing things. It takes more work and more professionalism to get a deal, especially in the hot markets. It is the teams who follow up. It's just more competitive, and the entire industry is professionalizing and probably going to continue consolidating a little bit. It used to be where you could send out a few thousand mailers and you could be sure you're going to get a deal in that. Now I've heard people send out 8,000 mailers and not pull a deal in from it, because land investing is now less passive. It's now more professional. And there's teams out there that are, doing what we're doing, basically talking to them 5 touches in 5 minutes, and then following up diligently with really structured nurture systems, and having notes on their motivation, their pricing, their timeline, and just not letting things slip through the cracks. And so that's going to continue happening at scale. And I think that the land market is going to continue to separate. I don't think there's going to be as much just real easy kind of deals laying out there. I also think that represents a big opportunity, because there's people who are up to speed with that trend, who are doing really well. One of our top land investors that we work with at Land AI they started pretty slow at the beginning of the year, I would say they really started picking up speed like April or May, and they've signed almost 60 contracts this year, and not all small. Like they're at like maybe almost purchased $5 million worth of property this year. So they really did it, and they did not come from a. They haven't been land investing for years. They started about 14 months ago, and so with the technology and the kind of the drive to get it done, I think that there's a lot of that happening. So that's why there's less deals just laying around out there.
Yeah, I see it the same. It's and no, then we hear the stories, by the way, and this is where I'm regularly aware. But when you right now are starting out, and it's the first time you get involved in an entrepreneurship, right? Like, don't compare yourself with that person that is able to sign up 60 contracts, because there will be two or three of three. One of these three things will be happening. First of all, they could have more money than you to hire smarter people than you in this space that have more experience than you, right? That run the business. So they could have money. The second thing is they could have experience. They have been successful in another venture already. And the third thing is they just put more effort in. And normally it's one of these three things why people get further along, right? And like with two of those, the third thing, money comes, and then they can hire smarter people, and this is how it literally grows. But like, like when you are not there where you want to be, always ask yourself, like, do I put enough effort in? And do I have the skills to really be there, or do I need to change first, right? But that's just on a side note, because that's what is a topic that's bothering me for the last 1 or 2 weeks. So
yeah, I've got something on that, Robin. That
go.
team who did that was two successful entrepreneurs who had teamed up, and they just did their first deal, and then they already had two salespeople, and they brought those salespeople in, and then they just started scaling up our service and pushing massive amounts of lead to them. So yeah, they already had like a business infrastructure to run on. So that's not a great example. A better example. This is my favorite. This guy who will resonate probably more was a professional poker player, and he was a car salesman, and he just came in and plugged into our system, having never done land before. And he said, I'll just figure it out after I buy some. And he bought a piece of land his first week with using our system. He bought this piece of land that had like this hidden gem. It had a waterfall, and he ended up selling it to someone who wanted to build a really fancy Airbnb. And the land he bought within the first week, he made like 100 and some change of profit off of just coming in completely blind and hitting the right spot. What made him good was the fact that he was two things. One, he was good on the phone, so he could talk to people. And two, he was risk averse because he was a poker player. So the way he put it, it's like, oh, okay. He's like, this makes sense. He's like, I wager some money to win some money. And so with that approach, that guy was one of the really interesting examples of someone with zero experience who just came in and nailed it. But our systems are set up in a way that all the operations things that I talk about, the reason I know about them is because we built all of that into what we do. And the whole point, my North Star at Land AI is I want to give people who have that entrepreneurial drive a vehicle to be entrepreneurs, because I have done many businesses, and on almost all of them, I got stuck at the point where I was personally the bottleneck. Like I didn't have a team. I didn't have people helping. I didn't have leverage. And I could only grow my businesses so far, and I could never walk away from them. I could never take vacation. If I stopped working, the whole business would stop working. And so the idea of Land AI is I want to build an entire operations company. So my past self, it's something that someone like me could have stepped into and had like a real business that fully functioned, that I could just do what I was good at and then also walk away for a week and it would keep running. And so that was the idea of making this all done for you, because I know that there's a lot of people like me out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think there's a lot of juice in that, because what people don't think about is what it takes to really build a business that makes millions of dollars. Like you said, right? Like we see more competition. Every guru that tells you it's a blue ocean, it's not anymore. Right. So what it now takes is you compete with these people that are out there. Like, I don't know, we had Clay Hepler here 2 weeks ago. Last week I had John Jasniak here, right? Like really top operators, like really top operators. But this is the people you compete with. And then when you have in mind there's 19 million land properties out there owned by 12 million people, that's not a huge data set you're competing on. Right. So it gets more and more professional. And when you just enter this, you need to put so much effort in to go so far. So I think always the question is, how do you want to get involved? Do you want to build a company off the scratch? Do you want to sit there like Brendan is and think about, hey, do I hire my first employee? Right. And how do I onboard them? And how do I train them? And then when he's there, I need to hire the second one. Right. I think there's a shortcut on that. And this is where we really well connected also on that topic. Right. Like, hey, how can we provide for land investors something where they just like focus on one thing, and that's really talking to the sellers, right? And because this is, in my opinion, the highest leverage activity in land. It's like being really good at that negotiation. Why do I say that? And maybe you can stack on that. It's the land is worth what it's worth. It's worth $100,000. But the difference is, can you contract that for $80,000, $60,000, or $40,000? With 80, you make 20 grand in profit. Like, we keep it simple, let closing costs away, like just for purposes, right? When you get it for 60, when you're so good at negotiations, you make 100% more profit. And when you get it for 40, when you're able to get it there, you make 200% more profit. And that's really, I think, where the real mastery is. And I think that's in 2026, I was thinking a lot about that. I think you need to make the decision, where do I want to be? Do I want to build a business, right? Do I maybe want to rebuild the business? We see a lot of people in the industry right now being in a position where the last 2 years were overwhelming. The market was slow. Like new technology came up, like things like Maya that you develop, which is hundreds, thousands of hours that you guys spend there training that model, right? Like building the IT integrations. And right. And I know, like when I ask you, oh, but can we use it for this? No, Robin, it's not that simple, right? Like pull a little bit back, right? And like there's a lot of like, when you really want to build it to be competable, you need to make the decision, can you do that? And do you have the money and time and knowledge to do that? Or you find somebody like Brandon, right? Like was like that, who has done the work already, right? Where you just now, you eliminate the things where you need to get good at in the process to really make some money. It's just a shortcut. Because and I mean, like, let me talk about that, right? We worked together now for 3 months with Land AI and the Land Pilot. We created a program together. It's called the Land Autopilot, right? And where we bring these two worlds together, this fully managed acquisition backend from like, hey, we take care of choosing the right markets, pulling the right data in this combined program. We call it the Autopilot, right? To like really giving you that calls you need. You have those calls, and when we comp all deals for you in that program together, right? And we just like this for all deals for you. So the only thing where you need to concentrate on is just one thing: how do I have this conversation really well, right? So, and now comes the trick. That costs money, right? Because when you run a business, you have overhead. But guess what? What was the first skill we needed to learn? The first skill we needed to learn was we need to be really good at sales to make money in this industry, right? So the second skill we just need to learn right now: how do I get the money to buy an operating system, right? And this is like the responsibility of a CEO. How do I have enough funding to keep it running? Because 95% of businesses get out of business in the first 3 years. Guess what? 95% of them get out of there because they have trouble with capital, right? So you're suddenly working with Brandon, right? Like on the acquisition side with Land AI and working with Landpile on the backend, you have like this whole system. Like you have the latest AI tools that a Brandon like develops every day. And I think there, can we talk about that? That you have a couple of things on the agenda, that it's not just only working for cold calling, for inbound and all that. I don't know if we can even do that, but like you're making it better every day on a scale because you focus on doing that while your customers focus on doing business. So it's like an economy of scale we bring together here, right? Sorry, bring a couple of thoughts. I was talking a lot right now because I was
Oh, that's
excited.
great. Yeah, I'm excited too. I love it. I was like just listening to you having a good time. That's yeah, what you're saying is right on. People often who say, "Oh, I want to build a system myself." And having built built a land system over the last 3 years, kind of what I think in the back of my head is that's me. I get it. Also, you're never going to catch the land business. Well, I shouldn't say never. It will be, it's an uphill battle catching the land business right now, because as people start to build systems, there's teams that are using and leveraging AI that are building systems that are reaching escape velocity like faster than the intermediary systems can catch up. So people can be building systems, but the systems that are being built with AI right now, by the time someone gets something built up, there's going to be other things going on. And so I think because of the speed that things are moving right now, that it is a who, not how time. Like, what am I personally good at? Who can I find to partner up with to move faster and stay on the edge of the industry? Because that's where people are going to end up making money. And I mean, I'm not talking just what other people should do. That's how I personally think about it. Like, and I'm someone who's been building as fast as I can with multiple developers, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars developing, and I'm partnering with people because I think I have to move faster because it's going to consolidate, and I want to be ahead of the
You have like, I
consolidation.
think is 16 people AI team where you have access to a development team, right? With 16 people that could work on that.
Did you say our whole company is 50 people?
Yeah.
Did you say 60? What'd you say there?
16 people that are just in the AI development stack in your company where you can access to.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we don't quite have that many, but yeah, we have a whole team of developers and AI automations people, and so we are all day, every day working on making that better. And that's why, and so that's part of the idea of the partnership or teaming up with Land Pilot, is just that there is things are moving so fast that just combining resources with other people who are good at land is a big play right now. And that's also part of why the model where we're looking for great land operators, or just people who are ambitious or good on the phone or want to get into land, like that human aspect, that human touch that sits right in the middle of these giant systems, is one of the really important parts of the puzzle. It's like, yeah, we can do all these AI systems to get someone on the phone, but someone has to actually do the negotiation and actually sign the contract and be the human in the loop. And that doesn't just scale by, a couple people doing it. It scales by tens of people with their own businesses that are incentivized to grow it. And that's the same thing with the Land Pilot, the dispo service. Is like, you can dispo really fast, but you still need that human in the loop with eyes on every deal and making those deals happen and all those good salespeople. And so that's how I look at it. It's like a team of three. It's like the acquisitions, AI systems, good land investors in the middle, and then good dispo systems with Land Pilot on the other end. And I think there's a killer synergy there.
Yeah, that's really what it is, right? Like, I mean, when we started talking about that, we were both fascinated by the idea to give an ecosystem to people, right?
Mhm.
Because when I built this, like when we started like out in 2020, like that we could get to that success, like doing like over 350 deals in like 3 years, right? In our first 3 years, like without doing a first deal in the first year, right? I always tell that story, right?
It's
12
crazy.
months to do my first deal. So when you have done a deal in your first 12 months, you're much better than I am. But what you shouldn't underestimate, I had like a huge package of investment capital when I started this. I had like a 13 years career as an entrepreneur when I started this. I was like knowing a lot of things already, what I shouldn't do, right? That especially when you are new, you don't go there. And here's the second thing. What the beauty in this is what Brandon and I figured out here is every time somebody in our of our partners makes a mistake or something is not working, we correct this for everyone else. We take all the learnings out of the ecosystem and give them to you, right? So you learn much faster, much better, and you learn in this economy of scale to really build a business much faster and better than you do that. You allocate resources, right, on a limited scale to be part of something bigger that really brings you there where you probably want to be end of 2026, right? Maybe you want to make next year 300, 500, 600, $800,000. And maybe you want to do that while you still have a life and don't hustle like a zombie where Brandon went through and I went through in our lives, right? Like this 60-hour, 80-hour grinds a week, right? That nobody really wants. So that is what makes me really exciting, right?
Yeah, that's the key. I like the direction things are going, and it's there's a lot of unknowns out there too. I think that the window is fairly short to make a decent amount of money in land. It's like looking, if I try to predict 2 years out, I feel like I have a decent handle on the industry consolidating and being more professional, and maybe bigger teams doing more of the transactions. It would be similar to how you see house wholesaling. It's a
Yeah.
much more competitive, faster moving market with a lot more systems and a lot of big companies doing it. I can see land being there in about 2 years, but 4 years from now, I have no idea, because there's so much technology and it's moving so quickly that I think that there's a foreseeable 2-year window to make some money, and then we'll have to see what happens after that.
Yeah. And I see it the same. It will be like really, really this professional and this is I think the decision you need to make today, right? Are you able to and willing to bring and capable of building like a huge corporation, right? That like runs hundreds of thousands, or there are guys out there that run like 200,000 records, 300,000 records a month, right? Like so from this 12 million owners in a year, they contact over 2 million people somehow. Bring that together. That's like 20%. That's like one person that does that. When you then look in the industry, there is also like a good friend of mine, big well-known coach. He right now sells 120 to 140 coaching clients a month on a high ticket coaching. That means that just from one guy, 100 to 140 new people every week. And that's your competition you're getting into. A lot of these people will not make that, but they're still there working your records, right? So now you need to be different. And I think, like when you get into something like working with Land AI, working with the Land Pilot, and then you have the combination, like systems that integrate with each other. And this is what we really focused on building the past 3 months, right? Like, hey, getting all the data in there, like you get the lead, you don't need to worry, you don't need to train up a VA for comping. You never will feel guilty about doing comping again because it's automated. It comes back, our team runs it for you. When you have then the contract, everything is in there. The contracts are sent out from like the whole CRM system, the nurture sequences, the long time nurturing of those leads, all of that is built and done for you. You don't need to think about that. The first thing I ever hear from people like that are really new is, oh, I need to find out my right CRM system. Oh no, you get that inside Land AI, right? That's part of that. Like you get a full CRM system, And then when you have a deal, you just submit it to us. We help you funding that deal, moving that deal, shaking that deal, and we will always make sure that's a deal where you actually make money from, right? And that's really the cool part of it. Um, I mean, you talked a lot about like where do you see the industry heading, and we're coming a little bit on top of the hour. And if you have a couple of minutes, let's open up for a Q&A soon. But um, where do you see like this whole AI trend going? You talked a lot about the industry, but not trend. Like, where do you see the world with AI going? Let me ask the question like this in the next couple of years, especially from a business perspective.
I think that it gives a crazy amount of leverage to people who are integrating it into their daily workflows. And I see a similar thing happening in the general business world that we see happening in land, where we're going to have people leveraging systems and moving fast and just consolidating money and people who are not early adopters and not leveraging AI in their daily workflow. And I feel like I'm probably 5 to 10 times as productive as I was 2 years ago, and not by any changes in my personal life, just how I use AI on a daily basis. And I think that's going to continue. Is that as we integrate AI into our workflows and our daily lives, some people are going to move way, 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 way faster than people who aren't integrating with AI. But I won't become a cyborg. That's where I'm going to try to make my money before we have to become cyborgs to survive. I want to stay ahead of the curve right now, and then exit so I don't have to actually merge with the machines. But I think that the people who are semi-merged with the machines right now are moving crazy fast. I mean, just a very small example is I barely type on my computer. I use WhisperFlow. I have a hotkey, and it'll text into any box anywhere on my computer. I hit my hotkey, talk into my mic, and it slams my words out. It even formats them with bullet points or numbers, and my typing speed is 168 words a minute with WhisperFlow. So like that's 5x productivity right there. Just every time I would be typing on my computer that I don't have to do anymore. I have maybe 15 different GPTs, new projects for all the different parts of my life and business that are building and becoming robust. So depending on what I'm doing, I'll be referencing a GPT that knows everything about me and my business or my personal life for that specific topic, and it'll point me in the right direction quickly. It'll tell me what questions I should be asking, how I should be approaching things. So it's that's how I see it going, is more and more of that, and it becoming more and more seamless.
I like that. Yeah, I see it the same. And to be on top of that, Brendan, that was a beautiful hour that we spent here together. Even with the little interruption we had in between with the sound, so sorry for that, guys. And with that said, guys, I'm gonna open it up for some questions here. If you have some for Brendan, he's live here. It's really hard to get this guy on the phone, right? So fire it right away if you want to ask like anything. I think he opens his playbook here. Just get it right away. And thank you for WhisperFlow. I was looking for something like that today. I was like, it would be so great to have it, so I just downloaded it right away.
Oh yeah, so good. Let me drop my link in there. I love.
You have a link?
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course, he has an affiliate link, right? Just put it on here. So
well, I don't.
This is
really
how the smart guys make money, right? Like, oh, I have an affiliate link for WhisperFlow, right? Like,
dropped it in there.
This show is not sponsored by WhisperFlow, right?
I dropped it in the chat. Go ahead and hit that. You guys will love it. You know what though? Like honestly, I sell WhisperFlow like I do because I love it. Like I tell people as I'm walking around the streets, like, hey, do you still type on your computer? Well, you shouldn't be, because people are going to look back and laugh at you because you typed on your computer for too long.
That's so great. Does anybody have any questions for Brendan, or is everybody just blown away? Okay. I don't think so. Brendan, then let's close this off. Thank you for being on here and sharing what you shared, because I think what you do is so valuable. And I had the pleasure for working with you for 3 months now, and I think the operation you have is super professional, super great. So for everybody that's here, we're gonna just where do people find you? I didn't ask you that. It's landai.ai, right? And any kind of socials you wanna throw out here where people can reach you? I think we lost him right there.
Oh, yep, I'm back.
You're back. Okay. Hey, I asked, where can people find you?
Find me at landai.ai, the website, or brandonparker.com, or on Twitter at brandonparker_o, or on YouTube at Brandon Parker.
I like it. Great. With that said, guys, so if you're interested in really outsourcing your whole land business and run it on autopilot, this is what you want to do. When you want the whole like the whole thing, acquisitions managed, disposition managed, you have a couple of phone calls every day, you work with sellers, you get really good at that, then hit me up, hit Brendan up, and see what we can do for you. And with that said, guys, I wish everybody a blessed evening, and talk to you guys soon.
Farewell.